For more than 1,000 years, the walls of Constantinople stood unbroken. They had seen empires rise and fall, Goths, Persians, Arabs, and Crusaders, and still they endured. But in 1453, the unthinkable happened. The last echo of Rome fell to a new power, one forged in fire and faith. This is the story of the final stand of the Roman Empire, the fall of Constantinople. In the mid-15th century, Constantinople was a shadow of its former glory. Once the jewel of the Mediterranean, capital of emperors and patriarchs, it had become an island of stone, surrounded by enemies. The Byzantine Empire, what remained of the Eastern Roman Empire, had shrunk to little more than the city itself and a few scattered territories. Its emperor, Constantine XI, Palaiologos, ruled a city of perhaps 50,000 souls, protected by walls that had withstood every siege for a millennium. But beyond those walls stood a new empire, young, hungry, and unstoppable: the Ottoman Turks. At just 21 years old, Sultan Mehmed II dreamed of glory greater than Alexander, Caesar, or any caliph before him. He would not rest until he took the city of the world's desire. In April of 1453, Mehmed marched toward Constantinople with one of the largest armies ever seen in the medieval world. Nearly 80,000 men, including elite janissaries, cavalry, engineers, and artillery. But his most terrifying weapon was not his soldiers. It was a cannon, a monster of bronze, built by the Hungarian engineer Orban. The cannon was so massive it required 60 oxen to move and took hours to reload. Its shells could shatter stone walls that had stood since the days of Theodosius. Inside the city, Constantine XI had barely 7,000 defenders, Greeks, Italians, and mercenaries led by the Venetian commander Giovanni Giustiniani. They knew they could not win by strength, only by courage. On April 6th, the siege began. The cannons roared day and night, shaking the ground like thunder. For nearly 7 weeks, the walls of Constantinople endured, cracked, crumbling, but unbroken. The Theodosian walls, triple-layered fortifications stretching 4 miles across, had defied armies for 1,000 years. Mehmed tried everything: bombardment, tunneling, naval blockade, yet the defenders held firm. The Golden Horn, the city's northern harbor, was sealed by a massive iron chain, preventing Ottoman ships from entering. Then, in one of the boldest moves in military history, Mehmed ordered 70 ships dragged over land on greased logs and launched them behind the chain into the harbor. Constantinople was surrounded on all sides. Inside the walls, food ran short, morale crumbled, and hope faded. But Emperor Constantine refused to flee. He said to his men, "The city entrusted to me by God, I will not abandon. If I must die, I die with my people." The last Roman emperor prepared for the final assault. In the early hours of May 29, 1453, Mehmed launched his all-out attack. The night sky burned with fire. Waves of Ottoman soldiers stormed the walls. First the irregulars, then the Anatolian troops, and finally the elite janissaries. The defenders fought with everything they had: Stones, arrows, boiling oil. For hours the city held. Then fate turned. Giustiniani, the Venetian commander, was gravely wounded and carried away from the walls. Without his leadership, the defense faltered. A small gate, the Curca Porta, was left open. Ottoman soldiers poured through. Panic spread. The city that had stood for 1,000 years was falling. Emperor Constantine removed his imperial insignia and charged into the fighting. He was never seen again. By dawn, the banner of the Ottoman Empire flew above the city's highest tower. Constantinople had fallen. As the sun rose, the greatest city in Christendom lay in ruins. The last emperor was dead, his body never found. The churches were silent. The Hagia Sophia became a mosque. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the double-headed eagle of Rome was gone. The Byzantine Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, had finally fallen. The Roman world, born in the hills of Italy, had lasted from the days of kings and consuls to the cannons of gunpowder, over 2,000 years. Its final breath ended on that May morning in 1453. The fall of Constantinople changed the world. To the Ottomans, it was a triumph, the dawn of a new empire that would dominate 3 continents. To the Christian world, it was a catastrophe, and a call to find new routes to the east. The fall of the city indirectly sparked the age of exploration, sending men like Columbus and Vasco da Gama to seek new worlds. But for historians, the meaning is deeper still. With the fall of Constantinople, the ancient world truly ended. The Middle Ages closed, and a new age, the modern world, began. And though the Empire of Rome fell, its spirit, its law, language, and legacy lived on in every corner of the world it once ruled. For 1,000 years, Constantinople stood as the bridge between worlds, East and West, ancient and modern, faith and empire. And when it finally fell, it did not vanish. It transformed history itself. Thank you for watching. This was the fall of Constantinople, the end of the Roman Empire.